I'll start this off by saying I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but I wanted to like it more. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Brandon Aries, and welcome to the Sanctuary. Phase 5 of the multiverse saga has officially started with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Finally got around to seeing it. I wanted to let the dust kind of settle with the reviews, as it was saying that it was kind of mixed, but I tried my best to ignore all of that and just go in with an open mind. I think a lot of people had unrealistically high expectations for this film. I think they were expecting the level of Infinity War Thanos with Kang, but that's just not the case. I think they're slowly building up Kang to be better than Thanos. The chemistry amongst the cast was great. I mean, every interaction, whether it was at the table or in the quantum realm, or at the dinner table at the end, it all felt natural. It all felt organic. Even with the recasting of Cassie, it didn't feel like there was a recast at all. There was the scene where they're all falling into the quantum realm for the first time. That was pretty trippy. I was very stimulated. For Michelle Pfeiffer, aka Janet Van Dyne, having all of this knowledge of the quantum realm, she feels underutilized. She was also being so annoying by just not telling them why she was so afraid. She just kept putting it off, saying, "There's something I didn't tell you. There's something I should tell you. I want to tell you, but we have to get out of here." It's like, just tell me. When it comes to situations like that, I understand that you're trying to protect whoever it is that could be in danger. But are you really protecting them, or are you putting them directly in harm's way with the unknown that they're trying to figure out? Hank even challenges her by saying, "Protect us from what?" And Hope follows that with, "Who are you so afraid of?" Then she finally spills all the beans about Kang, and it's like, about time. Time. That is a point that I wanted to bring up. Time in this film is a really big plot hole. Let's dive deeper into this. Think about Avengers Endgame, when Scott came out of the quantum realm, and he's talking with Steve and Natasha. He says how he was supposed to get out of the quantum realm, but he got stuck. And Natasha replies with, "That must have been a long 5 years." So 5 hours for Scott in the quantum realm was 5 years in real time. Where is that here? In Quantumania, time just didn't change. I saw some reviews after I had seen it saying how it kind of felt very Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spy Kids, Shark Boy, and Lava Girl-esque. All those movies were like packed into one. And there were times where I can agree to that feeling. You have the people of the Quantumania, which from the trailer, in my trailer reaction, I had called it. Knowledge. But then you have all this deep space, and you have flying buildings that are just shooting everywhere. You also had the people of the quantum realm fight back against Kang at the last second, the same way the Nova Corps did at the last second in Guardians 1. So that was very Star Wars-esque. Like, I immediately envisioned A New Hope. Like, there were a lot of elements that I can see the Star Wars connection. And even talking about Kang, Kang could kind of be considered Darth Vader. Bill Murray was briefly in this film, and it makes me sad to think about it, because as I was writing the script for this, I forgot he was even in the movie. I mean, he was just briefly in there. However, his words did challenge Janet. Even Hope and Hank were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" They're like, "Oh, you didn't tell him about me?" And even he's surprised that she didn't tell Hope and Hank about Kang. You didn't tell them about him. Really? Do you realize everything that you've done? All the people that have been killed because you left us with him? I thought Bill Murray's role was going to be a little more important, but I was wrong. On to probably one of the biggest cons of this film, Modoc. Modoc was a walking joke. Let's face it. See what I did there? Face. The problem I have, as well as a lot of Marvel fans, is that Modoc was treated so dirty. He was treated like a joke. It kind of felt like in WandaVision with the Ralph Boner joke with Quicksilver. In the Marvel's Avengers game, Modoc was an Avengers level threat. He was the main villain of the game. He's got such intellect, and he's a brilliant scientist. Here, he's just a floating meme. In the comics, it's not even Darren Cross, but I could see why they did that, to kind of give Darren Cross some revenge, I guess. I still hope there's another version of Modoc sometime in the future, but it's the MCU. A lot of the time, they kill off great villains, and that's just the way it is. I was talking about this point with my girlfriend. The CGI of the film, considering that a great portion of it takes place in the quantum realm, kind of throws off from the experience of the immersion of the film. Like, there's no set location. Granted, in the beginning, after the brief little backstory scene, they're in San Francisco. But then they're not in San Francisco all the way until the very end of the film. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the Ant-Man and the Wasp point. Yes, this movie does say Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. However, it doesn't feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think a key word that I can use to describe this film is overshadowed. Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, while he's in it for most of the film, I still feel like he's overshadowed. Hope, the Wasp, is in this film for a good portion, but is overshadowed again. Another person I feel was underutilized, but then kind of redeemed at the end was Hank Pym, because at the end, he got his ants, and his ants were super smart, but I'll get to them in a minute. I feel like, yes, this is kind of an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, but I think this movie went under the wrong title. This film should have been called Kang Escape from the Quantum Realm. Marvel, if you want to hire me, I am here. That's essentially who this movie was about. Kang. Since I keep saying the name Kang, let's talk about my favorite part of the movie, which is why I'm wearing green and purple, Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors absolutely killed it in this movie. The best part of the film, one of the most powerful villains in Marvel Comics. Sometimes even better than Thanos. The reason I bring up Thanos is because, to me, Kang has such a stronger presence. Thanos is an alien. Kang is flesh and blood underneath the suit. He's still just a man. For a man to have that sort of intimidation and that presence in him, that's scary on its own. I think people were expecting Infinity War Thanos with Kang right off the bat. I like how selective his words were. Every word he said carried weight and power. Another thing that I felt when seeing Kang on screen is that you can tell he's aware of how powerful he is. He knows how capable he is of just destroying everything.
But Brandon, he was beaten by ants.
Okay, let's back this up a little bit. Yes, he was beaten by ants that fell into the quantum realm. However, as Hank Pym explained, these ants were in a special time warp where they lived thousands of years within, I think they said, an hour. And they shared their technology, their resources, their information. And those super smart ants that were up on Earth, when they came down to the quantum realm, were 20, 30, even 100 times smarter than they were before, creating technology that was maybe even beyond Kang's. And I was talking to my friend about this. The ants with Hank Pym coming in was like a nice tribute to Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man. That was like Hank Pym's definitive moment of like, yeah, I'm the OG. But a lot of people didn't like how Kang was just brought down by all the ants. Think about it this way. If those ants were in Endgame fighting Thanos' army, wraps, eliminated, decimated, obliterated. Do I have to say more? Now let's talk about the ending. Obviously, they get back from the quantum realm. They escape. Before Scott goes in, Kang intercepts, and he tries to get back, but Scott won't let him. So Kang is just beating him into a pulp. He's like, you thought you could win. Scott says, I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. And right as Kang is about to enter the portal, Wasp intercepts and takes him down. Scott does the same thing Janet did with the core and puts those bombs on it to blow it up. However, Wasp keeps shooting Kang into the core, and it sucked him in to the core. Now, I don't think he's dead. If anything, this is my theory. I think Kang let him do it. I think Kang faked his death to be off the scent of the Council of Kangs. As we saw in the post-credit, they are under the impression that he's dead. That gives Kang time to really bring his plan to fruition. He's perfectly okay with losing the battle. It's the war that he wants to win. And I was talking about another point with my friend, that a good villain does not show all of their hand straight away. A good villain will make you think they're weak. And then when the war comes, you have no idea what hit you. And I think that was Kang's intention in this film, because to my theory, he still technically got out of the quantum realm. Even at the end where Scott's doing that walk like he did in the beginning of the film, he starts doing all like, oh, life doesn't make sense. I saved the world from a space king who died, right? Like, he's trapped there. He didn't get out, right? We killed him. And then it gets worse. Like, maybe he didn't get out. Or maybe he did. Or did I just unleash something really bad? Is everyone gonna die? And then it's back to, nah, I'm sure we're okay. But even sitting at the dinner table, Kang is still in his head. He's like, oh, you did it, right? Kang is already in everyone's head. But now let's talk about the post-credit scenes. Obviously, the first one, you see the Council of Kangs. You see Ramatut, Immortus, and I guess the Scarlet Centurion. It didn't look like it. He looked silver and purple. If anything, a lot of people were saying he looked like RoboCop. But then you see that they assembled all the other variants of Kang. They're out there and they're ready to strike. The second one was a tie-in to Loki for season 2, where you have a variant of Kang, aka Victor Timely, come out. And Loki is terrified. He's like, oh my God, that's him. And Mobius is like, this guy, he's just a normal guy. You made him seem like he's this really big monster. No, it's him. Overall, I left the theater enjoying the film. And even as the dust settles, I'm kind of liking it a little more. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is it flawed? Yeah. The pacing is a little all over the place. There's times where it's super fast paced and there's times where it drops to the ground and is super slow. A lot of the characters and even the main protagonists are overshadowed by the villain, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but it kind of takes away from those characters. And we're not done seeing Kang. Kang will conquer. Trust me when I tell you. This is merely him losing the battle so that he can win the war. That's my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I give it a 6.6 out of 10. It's average, it's not great, but it's not bad. It's good. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like. It is always so much appreciated here in the Sanctuary. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Next to that is a notification bell for every week this lover boy pops up in your feed. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.